For Izzy Cutmore, every day's a fight.
We have to keep fighting to be validated. We have to keep fighting to be seen as a person.
Cutmore grew up in Fairfield in Salona County. There, he made a big decision.
All I know is I didn't want to lose my family. I didn't want nobody to hate me.
While in high school, he came out as a gay person.
The first thing my grandma told me was, I love you. And then also in the same night too, I told her that I want to do drag and I want to be a drag queen. And her first words with that was, we got to buy you your first costume.
Eventually, the drag queen Rose Rosé was born.
For Rose, her home is Sacramento. This is where she started working. This is where she got her name out.
Through drag, Rose fights for her rights and others in LGBTQ plus communities.
No hate crime, no hate group, no anything can take away the love that I have for my art form, the love that I have for my community. Nothing will ever take that away from me. So that's what keeps me going.
According to the nonprofit GLAAD, there's been 161 protests and threats targeting LGBTQ people and drag events nationwide since early 2022. There's also been a record number of bills introduced in state legislatures that attack the rights of LGBT people across the country this year. The American Civil Liberties Union is tracking 491 bills, with 75 becoming law so far.
So drag is a safe space for LGBTQ folks in our community.
Dr. Lady J, also known as J. Davenport, is a drag performer and drag historian from East Tennessee. She explains the roots of drag and how the art form continues to overcome hate.
It comes from an underground culture that starts with enslaved folks who are performing their own cross-dressed acts for one another and for community purposes. That is then mimicked and mocked by minstrelsy.
Born into slavery in 1860, William Dorsey Swann was the first queen of drag and queer activist.
Queen of drag was really an idea about who William Dorsey Swann was in his community, really. So the idea that he was a queen was a leader. So he was someone who had a house where he had many other people that did drag, largely formerly enslaved folks just like himself.
Swann hosted drag parties at his home in Washington, D.C.
Those house balls, essentially these house parties, were raided, and he was put in jail. What they would put them in jail for was, quote, running a disorderly house, which is the same thing you'd say about a brothel, even though this is not what was happening at William Dorsey Swann's parties.
Swann filed for a pardon from President Grover Cleveland in 1896, which was denied. Swann was the first known American to take legal action in the fight for gay rights.
People who are doing drag, and especially Black folks who were formerly enslaved folks, are really the folks who are responsible for beginning the movement. Nothing has ever stopped us. Nothing ever will stop us. We are going to be who we are.
What's important about drag for me is what I can do with it.
What about us? What about us?
For 20 years, Taryn has been a drag performer.
I want to see people laugh. I want to see them smile. I want to perform and change their mood. I want to make them cry through a performance.
At night, Taryn performs at bars and clubs in the greater Sacramento region. For her, it's about community.
One of my favorite ballads to do is Whitney Houston, I Have Nothing.
In the day, Taryn turns Jonathan Cameron, who works with Sunburst Projects. It's a nonprofit that serves the needs of the HIV and AIDS community through compassionate care and services.
When I started doing drag, I found out I was positive, HIV positive. And drag allowed me to focus on what I can do to help educate and to help spread the word about HIV.
Outside of raising awareness, Taryn says she also uses drag to combat hate against LGBTQ plus people.
And so at some point you have to just realize, if they're not hurting you, why are you hurting them? We're a community that's different, we're diverse, and we as a community, and even the surrounding areas, should be proud of who we are.